Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of News in Motion. It's a brand new week, but we are still here. Today is Monday, November the 13th, 2023. And how is everyone's weekend? How is everyone's weekend? We hope you had a safe, fun weekend. Hope you were staying warm, especially if you're here in Columbus, Ohio. It is starting to get colder, so you might want to switch out them short sleeves t-shirts for the long sleeve sweaters, the turtlenecks. Make sure that you are staying warm out there. But if you had an amazing weekend, please let us know what you did over the weekend. Let us know if your favorite football team won over this past weekend. I know Mr. Kenny Stanley had game over this past Saturday, so I know he brought some of the gaming, some of the sports highlights and scores as well. Whether you're tuning in through YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, we just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you are an audio podcast listener, thank you for turning those dials to NIM Today for your relevant commentary and call to action news. Of course, we'll be joined momentarily by Miss Gail Daly, but we also have a special guest, y'all. I don't know if I'm liable to say, but we do have a special guest, so you might want to stay tuned for the entire show because we will have an inspirational message that will tear the house down. But I see some of y'all coming up in here. Good morning to you, Miss Adrian, tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Deborah Johnson, tuning in through Facebook. Good morning, Miss Shirley Nicholson, tuning in through Facebook as well. Good morning, Miss Kim Edmondson, tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Shardinia, also tuning in through Facebook. Deborah Johnson said, "My Buckeyes and Browns won." Congratulations for your Browns. Congratulations. But as an AFC North opponent, it is what it is. But shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers who came out with an impressive victory over the Green Bay Packers. It was a close one. It was down to the wire, but go Packers. We have Kim Emerson also saying go Blue and go Niners. So, without further delay, y'all know what we do here. Let's get ready for some news in motion.
News in motion.
What's up, everybody? I am laughing because y'all are up in here this morning. So I see Jackie in here as well. So good morning to you. Kim Edmondson's name in every sports team there is. But Kim, are we going to talk about the illegal signing? Is that too soon? Okay. Robert Hummon, good morning to you. Yes, those Browns are winning. I just hope my dad keeps his heart, in sync as he gets excited. I see you, Latrice Jones. Yes, I got a nickname for you, but I won't say it today. I see you, Lori Wallace. Good morning to you. I see you, Dr. Antoinette. Good morning to you. Isaiah put out there what was happening this weekend, your favorite team or whatnot. I'm still behind Colorado. I'm still with Prime. I don't know why they keep losing at the end because they had that game in the bag and they lost it in the end. So I don't know what's happening there. Kim Edmondson said whatever. I love you too, girl. But listen, this weekend my highlight was yesterday. My highlight was yesterday celebrating Pastor and Minister Troy their 40th pastoral anniversary at the New Salem Missionary Baptist Church right here in Columbus, Ohio. But we also had a mini concert in the middle of the worship service by Miranda, and I just want to tell y'all, I'm still like way up here, way up here. I had my son on one side, my husband on the other side. And I think at one point they were like, why did we put her in the middle of the two of us? It was just all of that. And listen, ladies, listen. I done found the right heels. I'm talking heels for Black church. And they were high. They were like about 3.5, 4 inches, but they were the most comfortable. I never had to take them off, y'all. And I went from 10 a.m. We went to dinner, so about 4:30. And when I came home, they were still on. It wasn't like I was kicking them off in the car. So now listen, if the company want to pay me for it, I'll tell y'all where I got them from. but I'm not going to tell you on air. If y'all want to know sidebar, I'll give it to you in a sidebar. But they're not getting that on air. But it was an amazing Sunday, and they deserve all the love. They've been at it for a long time. I see y'all still coming in here with your teams. Latrice Jones says, "How about them Steelers?" I noticed how Isaiah put that one up there, but he ain't put up the other ones up there. I see you, Isaiah. I see you. Kim Edmondson said it was a beautiful look. Kim, sidebar. And all I know there's people tuning in. You're probably like, who is Kim? By now, y'all should know who she is. You're probably like, who are they talking about? Just follow us. You're part of the family. You know, when we go to family gatherings, we learn something new all the time. Listen, Kim, I thought you was about to come off a stage left because you was in, girl. You was in. The hands were up. You were in. I said, somebody might need to catch Kim over there. Listen, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Lori said that was a beautiful service. That Miranda Curtis, she blessed me tremendously. Yes, 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 yes. And then we got, people teaming up. We got Latrice backing up Kim Edmondson. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We all in this together. I see you, Marion Jackson. Ah, Latrice Jones said, "That's my son. I'm his mama." Y'all are. All right, y'all. We do have a special guest, so let me get to everything that I have that's going on today. I need y'all to do me a favor today. I want all of you to follow, and hopefully Isaiah can grab these and put it in the chat. I want y'all to follow me on Instagram, and that is at Gail Dudley. So just at Gail Dudley, Gail. D as in David, U, D as in David, Ley. I want you to follow, make sure you are following the News in Motion page on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/news in motion. And I also would love for you all to subscribe to my YouTube. And the YouTube is youtube.com/Gail Dudley. Why am I asking you all to follow, especially on Instagram? And our Instagram posts, they do transfer most times over to Facebook. There's sometimes I leave Instagram just over on Instagram. Well, y'all, people are asking about News in Motion. And they're asking at a rate that we've never been asked before. So I let them know Gail Dudley, that's the brand. News in Motion Fund comes underneath Ready Publication, which actually is Ready Media LLC. And people are tuning in and they're wanting to know more. And people are starting to see that we are sharing the facts. So I need your help. So when you see a post on Instagram, if you would comment, just even like put a thumbs up, a check mark, whatever. And if you don't mind sharing it to your story, or if it's something you don't mind sharing, share it. Just because it's a public page, so you're able to do those things. You're able to interact with it. And if you happen to be on Threads, I'm also Gail Dudley on Threads as well. But we're seeing what God is doing. And I don't know if you all saw a test piece that we put up on Saturday where it's like we're in a newsroom and I put my reel on that newsroom. That has made a big difference. So people are interested in what we're doing and how we're doing it. So we need all of us. So y'all, that's free. That's completely free. We're just asking you to come alongside of us. The other thing we have not stressed in a while, hit that like button. Like Adrian says, smash the like button. So if you're in YouTube, just hit the thumbs up and make sure you turn on the alerts. If you are on Facebook, hit those hearts. Just hit it. Now you gotta like it. Is now liking the icon is different than just hitting the hearts or the thumbs up. Please make sure you're participating there as well. On Instagram, you can thumbs up or whatever, share whatever, but we're really asking for all of your help. We're working on some things and we're asking y'all to hang out with us for a while we work on those. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Good morning, Regina Shorts. I see you popping in here as well. So I want to get to the news so we can leave the time we need to leave for our guests. There's a lot that's going on. I want to give this shout out. I'll have her image up on tomorrow, but y'all, this Saturday, I think I have it right. Davey, if you're in here, let me know. This Saturday, Tales from the Shaker returns. That's a podcast by Davia Williams Stevenson. You want to check it out. Actually, I want all of you to go after the show. I want all of you to go to her YouTube and subscribe to her YouTube as well. Why am I asking us to do some of the things that I'm asking? And I also want to put out, I believe Adrian is still doing paparazzi. Latrice is doing paparazzi. Y'all find their pages and like them. Let me tell you what I'm doing, like and follow. I am watching a trend that's happening. And in this trend, y'all know I do my research, and in this trend, the more people who have follows and likes and interaction, their businesses go up the ranks. Okay. Doesn't mean we make more money. So don't look at it that way. We got to stop hating on that anyway. But their businesses rise, the algorithm shifts. And it's time for us to see us on these platforms without having to search or put their name in the search bar. So I'm specifically calling these things out today. Also, if you happen to be in Central Ohio or you're not far from Central Ohio and you want to drive in, check out Nabo, Nobo. Lori, I think you're somewhere. Oh, yes, they will not be disappointed. And Tales from Shaker is the bomb.com. You are correct. Um, Mike says, listen, I'm trying, and this is maybe this is the news today. Okay, stop. Wait a minute. Let me go back to Lori. Lori, if you will put in the chat information on Nabo. Y'all, there are Black artists from all over the country. I think even some outside the country that are set up at a I think it's the Ohio Historical Center. Lori, correct me if I'm wrong. It's 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday. This coming Saturday and Sunday, and you can find the most unique pieces. If y'all remember on my picture, put up the first picture, Isaiah. Not of the several pictures of me, but the news in motion picture. If you would put that one up real quick, the main picture, that one. If that earring, y'all see that earring? That earring came from Nabo. That earring came from Nabo. Thank you, Isaiah. And so, as some of you are asking about, like, where'd you get things from? That came from Nabo. So, unique things like that, artwork, wearables, men and women, some of the most amazing pieces. And again, people come in from all over the country and outside the country to participate. So let me go on and say what I was going to say, and I'm going to get to some quick news. I'll bring my guest in here. Listen, in the research that I have been conducting, it is true that if you're not seen or talked about, it's almost as if your business doesn't exist. So today is the day I'm asking all of us to start supporting each other. Now, businesses, we also have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to follow up with people. Now, that doesn't mean y'all can call us at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock or send us text messages. No, that's why we developed a business communication protocol. I have that for my business. When I'm dealing with podcasters or when I'm dealing with authors or whatever, they sign an agreement that said you cannot text my phone after 5 p.m. Don't do that. Wait till next day. You will not hear from me. Give me a 48-hour turnaround. But this is information you can put in your business communication protocol. Dr. Kim Carter wrote mine for me, so pay her. She'll write one from you, I'm sure. Um, we got to put these pieces in place. So don't abuse us as Black people, Black business owners. Don't think that we owe you something, because we don't. But we are asking that we start supporting each other, but support us just like you would support any other company, and not have some unheard of demands on us. But y'all support, invest. I invest in my graphics with Carl and Molly. I invest in my website with Molly. I invest in content creation with the contractors I'm with. I invest in StreamYard. I wish there was a Black streaming company that could do what we're doing right now. Seriously. I invest. We're constantly investing. So let's invest in each other and let's do it. Y'all, holidays are coming up, birthdays, anniversaries, just because, graduations, whatever. Consider supporting a Black owned business. Seriously, services. And even if somebody has a service and you're like, well, they don't have a product, bless them anyway. Find a way to bless them anyway. We really need to get to that. The other thing I want to share, this is the season for that we normally are doing our food insecurity. There's so many platforms that are out there that I pulled back because I'm trying to assess what's going on. So I would encourage all of you to go to Feeding America, send a donation there. But we're working on some things. That's all I can say to y'all right now. We're working on some things that won't all the pieces will not come together until January 2024. So we are working on some things. Um, I would show y'all the book cover, but I'm waiting on Carl to do make one change to me for me. I am happy to report that this book is almost out, but we're going to hold it back until January the 3rd, but the people who pre-ordered will get their book first. So look for your book right after Christmas. Look for it. It's a hardback book. It is amazing, and I am happy to share right here. And everything works out for God's good. Y'all, the person who did the forward happens to be, and just imagine this for a moment. I have a conservative person writing the foreword of a moderate progressive author. Can y'all believe that? Y'all, the person who's writing the foreword was the right hand person to former Speaker Newt Gingrich. So just think of that. So she has written a foreword to the book Inspire. And I'm so, 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 so excited. And Carl Wright knocked that book cover out of the park. Oh my gosh. So perfect timing for everything. All right. So here's some news 5 days away, y'all. 5 days away. The government is set to shut down at midnight on Friday, and lawmakers are scrambling to pass a spending bill to keep the government open. On Saturday, House Speaker Mike Johnson unveiled somewhat of a complex plan to fund the federal government. The vote can be as soon as tomorrow. Once they put the vote on the floor, they'll have 72 hours to read it, and they're going to be at the like tiptoe of, they're going to be at the like edge of passing this. Now, y'all, CNBC reports that Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, Louisiana. What's up, Victoria Murray and Tracy Burrs? What's up? Um, he introduced a two-step CR. Oh, by the way, a CR is continuing resolution. That's what CR means. So file that somewhere. I might be asking that question in a couple of weeks. But a continuing resolution over more of a typical funding extension covering the entire federal government. Now, those who got rid of McCarthy, they're not in favor of this. They're not in favor of this at all. So we don't know what's happening there, but they're not in favor of this. So the House is expected to vote it tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen under this two-step strategy. Johnson's and others are like, this is like a ladder CR. So how are we going to roll this out? But others are like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to. The Democrats are like, hey, let's do it. Some of them are calling them out saying this is like something Pelosi would do. Well, can we just fund the government and make sure people have their jobs, especially when we're looking at the holiday season. So we have that happening. Y'all, Tim Scott on yesterday in South Carolina suspended his 2024 GOP campaign for presidential nomination after his struggle to gain ground in polling. It just was never there, wasn't there. Do you ever get mad like me? I thought about him and I said, how much money have we spent on that when we could have been spending that on feeding those who are hungry? Just a thought. Now, we also have, they tried it. I think after the elections, last Tuesday, people just lost it in the GOP side. I think they just kind of like lost their minds. So, y'all, Mike Collins, he made a post on Twitter or X that read, now I'll quote, make this quote. I'm sure you'll be shocked, but I just had to debate a Republican on the House floor who was defending funding of the office of the vice president. I argue that Kamala Harris sucks at securing our borders and therefore shouldn't be paid. If my amendment passes, her office will be defunded. He sent out an amendment. Now it shot down. It was 106. And I think we have an image of that. There are 106 people who voted to defund her office. But the majority of the Republicans, along with every Democrat, voted against it, tanking the amendment. That's what happened. So I know those are small names. I tried to squeeze them in there. Y'all know I had to go find out who, what, where, when, why. So I had to squeeze them in there so that you all can see. There was 106 of them in there. Y'all trying to shut something down like this. It's like, what? Why are we doing that? So those are the 106 names. All right, y'all. So check this out. Going back real quick to the appropriations bill. Now he did that small CR. Well, y'all know I had to go find it, right? I had to go find it. So I have it. It's 36 pages or so, and it's really bland. It's really interesting. He's just really trying to fund the government. He's like, what, y'all got me in here. I'm gonna just fund this government. So this is what. So it's not a bad read. Y'all know y'all can find these on there, right? Y'all can. Yes, Kim Edmondson tried to defund her office. Dr. Antoinette said they also have a resolution to pay the press secretary $1 a year. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that didn't go anywhere either. That's on my notes for tomorrow. I'll talk about that's happening Tuesday. But go ahead, Dr. Angela. Let's talk about it today. Yeah, they did that. Wanted to take it all the way down to paying $1 to the press secretary. So they got mad on Tuesday. No, it's called Run on Something That Works. Okay. And stop focusing on your pocket and focus on the American people. Yeah, yeah. So it's just very interesting. It's very interesting. And by the way, that was Marjorie Taylor Greene who did the amendment. Now, believe it or not, the amendment passed, but it's not going anywhere in the Senate. Chuck Schumer's like, stop bringing me stuff like this. That's why it is so important to really focus on who we're voting for and why we're voting for the people. Also, y'all, real quick, Joe Manchin said he's not running for re-election in 2024 as a senator, Democrat from West Virginia, that he's going to travel the world and see if we can bring together a moderate a country. I think I told y'all better start listening to me. I think I told y'all about what, 5, 6 months ago, that he'll probably run as an independent for president. I think that's really what he's trying to do, trying to figure out. Now it might be too late to get on some ballots because stuff is like secured in many places already. So maybe he's going to try to do it right in. I don't know. Maybe he's going to lay low. Maybe he's just going to lay low for 4 more years. We don't know. But I thought, I see which I see you. I see you. I see you. All right, y'all. I want to bring in my guest today. Because I want us to talk about some hard stuff today. And by the way, we're not here next week. We're not on air next week. That's the week of Thanksgiving, but we'll be back the following week. So this week, today and tomorrow may be some of our hardcore viewing, but then the following week we're going to be okay. We're going to be gone, and then we'll be back. So I want to bring in. He's a friend of ours. You all know him. I'm going to bring in Pastor Reverend. I always want to call him Doctor Derek Holmes. Good morning to you.
Peace and good morning. What's going on, Gail? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. I know you laughing at me because I'll be like, let's do this stuff. We have questions. I have questions. And I was thinking, who's the best person to answer these questions? You're pastor, activist, advocate, organizer, consultant, specialist, expert, strategist, all those words follow
Lord
your name.
Christ. You're telling the truth.
Listen, I really want to hear because, for example, preparations. People think we're early. We're not too early. Preparations for like 2024 elections. Thinking about what's happening right now in Congress. Thinking about how they tried to defund the vice president's office. That's never been a question or an amendment put out there ever. We're talking about we're down to 5 days, not even really 5 full days anymore, before the government hits this shutdown. We're talking about the continuing resolution. We're talking about this stair step. This is 36 pages of this bill. They have 70. They'll put it to a vote tomorrow. They have 72 hours to look at it, and so they're going to have all their aides reading through it and seeing what's there. Now, in this, I'm telling. I looked, and it's not in here. There are no cuts. Now they're getting ready to take down Mike Johnson. Like, you don't have a cut. They don't even have funding in here for Israel, which I thought was very interesting. There are no cuts in here. And this is supposed to take them, excuse me, through the end of the year. So they can go on their recess, in their jets, with their nannies, with their butlers, with their cooks, with their drivers, all them things. So, with that being said, let me start there with this question. What are we to focus on in something like funding the government, defunding the vice president's office, paying the press secretary $1? We're seeing in Ohio that the GOP, they're really trying to figure out how they can reverse what was voted for last Tuesday. What
Mhm.
do we need to pay particular attention to even today before we cross over into the new year?
Well, first, always a privilege to be able to share. I really appreciate being able to share this space. And I pray that everyone online is able to appreciate what this space is in terms of information, in terms of relevancy, and having these conversations. So, always an honor to share. Listen, we should take what we're seeing uh, for what it is. We should understand that this is positioning for what people want to see coming or going into 2024 for the results that they want to have. And I mean that very seriously. It's kind of like when you play spades and how if someone isn't holding their hand right, they kind of show you their cards before they play them. We need to be very clear that there are people on the other side of the aisle who really don't care to the point where they're showing their cards before they actually play them. And so, what I believe that we have to do, especially coming out of this election cycle and going into 2024, is not taking for granted the implications behind what it is that we're seeing. So, it's not just identifying it. I think we're right to. I think we're right to inundate ourselves with information, but it's also to make some determinations about that. Why would we defund the vice president going into a presidential cycle when the current president, one of the main things against President Biden was how old he was? And now, because there is no credibility and there's tension on the other end, why would they start now tearing down Vice President
Right.
Kamala Harris and definancing her in the capitalist society that we live in? Those are the questions that we should be asking. And if I had more time, I would tell you that part of what we need to be doing is we need to be protecting her because of where the direction things are going on for next year.
I agree with that. And yeah, I agree with that. So, what steps do you recommend for voters to stay
Mhm.
informed? And I know when I was putting this together, I know people are like, Gail, come on, we just went through election. We're in a society today, we can't stop. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to drive that home. We don't need to talk about it every day, no, but we can't
Mhm.
stop. What we've witnessed over the past week since the November the 7th elections, to some degree, is horrific to me. Like what we're
Mhm.
doing, the games that are being played. You talking about chess players coming out the woodwork? They're coming out the
Mhm.
woodwork. So, what do you think what do you recommend for voters to stay informed about candidates and issues? I think we're so focused on issues that we're not. I'm sorry, focused on candidates that we're not thinking about the issues of how those issues will hurt us more than the candidates. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think we have to be careful of the trap of falling into personality politics. And there's a way in which we should be thinking about creating an agenda. And part of the way we do that is by knowing issue. I think we understate how much is actually public information, how much you could actually just look online and Google, right? And then just go get for your own edification. And the reason why that matters so much is from there, we're able to build out what our agenda is. I think in our community, part of the problem is that we've allowed other people on either sides of the aisle to inform and tell us what should be important to us. And then
Hmm.
we're disappointed with what we get out of an election or out of a leader or out of policy because we haven't shown up with our own agenda. And so
Right.
the
Right.
first thing that I would suggest is that when we empower ourselves with information, but also that we begin to think about what our agenda is. So when we're listening to the debates and when we're hearing the rhetoric in the best sense of that word, right? When we're hearing all of that, we can reconcile that against what our own agenda is. So that way we're empowered going to the polls. And that's actually what a democracy is. It's not saying I'm against something. I go to the polls voting for
Or
something. So I think,
something.
yeah. So I think we have to be able to navigate our agenda in that way. And let me say this, I also think that there's an opportunity to make sure that we're well and woke at the same time.
Oh, I love that. Well and woke. We
Yeah,
need to
we
put
can
that
be
in the
well and
chat,
woke, right?
somebody.
Like, listen, there are moments where I can't watch the news because if I see one more implicated officer and no indictment, I'm going to feel away. If I see one more person that says one thing and then does something else, I'm going to feel away, right? I'm an
Right.
unapologetic American African, so I take very seriously what it is to protect Black women. And so if I hear one more thing about this vice president, who may be the most disrespected vice president in the history of American politics, right, I'm going
Yeah.
to feel away. So there's a way to keep myself aware, to create an agenda, to understand what's important to me and my community, but also to navigate my wellness as well. They're not separate items. I can be well and woke.
I love that. Jennifer Nix. Good morning, Jennifer. Says so true. We must empower ourselves with information.
Yeah.
And I like they're putting in here well and woke, well and woke. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. We also have Adrian says Vice President Harris has voted 31 times as a tiebreaker in her role as president of the Senate. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. And
yeah.
that's information, right?
And that's information that we don't talk about, okay?
Yeah.
We don't talk about that. And then we have I see Edna Craig popped in here also, so I wanted to say shout out to Edna Craig. But yeah, you're right. And so gotta ask this question: how can individuals effectively communicate the importance of voting, especially when we're really tired of it? And
Well,
and for those so that people who are not registered will find a way to get registered and be engaged. I know that's a heavy one, but I, look, we're doing our part. But how do we just continue to effectively communicate this importance of voting?
well, I think we have to begin to communicate intergenerationally. There is a generation of people, of the electorate, that, at least in my community, in our community, that resonate very heavily with the sacrifices that people made before us in terms of going to the polls. That there are people who fought and died and gave their lives so that way we could have the choice of whether or not to vote. We need to own that there is a generation that is not as deeply connected to that sacrifice. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything to them per se. It just means that they are not as closely connected to it. They're a
Mm,
lot more closely connected to issue. And so we have to be able
I
to
agree.
tell that story, right? But also be able to incentivize the younger vote, especially in a presidential election, and be able to say, listen, you might not be connected to this, but this is an issue that you should be thinking about. And this is how the wealth distribution is going to affect you when you go out and try to get a job, right? We need to be able to talk about poverty and how the country navigates that is going to affect you once you get the degree, if you're even able to, right? Like, I mean, we have to be able to connect it that way. So I think we have to be able to communicate intergenerationally, and that mobilizes the vote. You know, here in Ohio, we fought against the abortion ban. That wasn't because there were a bunch of young people who were just connected to tradition. There was an issue, and someone said, I don't philosophically agree with this issue. And by the way, when you start doing that, now it becomes bipartisan. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit. I can connect to an
I
issue,
like that.
right? And then that's how we end up mobilizing the vote in a more productive way. We have to communicate across generations.
Yeah, I like that. I in my electronic newsletter Friday, the Friday rundown. I think many of you may have received that. I had a graphic that I really thought through and put on there, and I had like the voter in the middle, then I had the right, and I had the left, and I just put down all the things from the 12 appropriation bills and others, and said we could vacillate from one side of this to the other.
Yeah.
So you got to think about, well, how does this pertain to me? What does this look like for me? Where do I fit in? What are the local issues? What are the issues at large? And we go back and forth, but we have to have that critical thinking piece to think through, and that makes it more issue based. So let's talk about community involvement, because it often plays a vital role in shaping one's understanding of local issues. So, how can the viewers here on News in Motion and people they speak with actively engage with their communities to better understand the specific challenges and concerns that may impact their decisions in the 2024 election?
We have to stop waiting on the enterprise, and we have to have a more healthy confidence in our own social network, right? So whether it's in a capacity like this, whether it's people reading the rundown on Friday, right? Whether that's conversation in barbershop, whether that's the Black church, right? Whether that's the way in which we connect, whether it's mimosas on the weekend, right? Begin to think about the way in which we share information, because social networking, and I'm not talking about digital social network, even though that's a component, I'm talking about the way in which we exchange. Listen, we are a village people, right? We are a people of congregation, right? We're a people of church and the cookout, right? And we're able to navigate all of those spaces where we can share and organize and build and think critically and have tough conversation and disagree. And so I think the way that we do that, the way that we start to organize, is just to trust our own social network and
Yeah.
not wait on someone else to build the thing. The philosophical term for it is the diffusion of responsibility, where everybody expects somebody else to do it, so it never gets done because everyone's waiting on someone else. We don't have to wait, right? All we have to do is just trust our own network and then build there. And if everyone is building their network at the same time, which, by the way, I believe to be the genius of Black people, that we're
Yeah.
able to do more than one thing, despite what may be going on. We're able to hit straight licks with crooked sticks. I think when we're doing more things at one time, right, then we organize in a way that's healthy. Then we're able to have watch parties during election night, right?
Yeah.
Then we're able to do those things, and they're not apart from our social network, and we validate them because we're doing it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of this. I don't know if you tuned in the last week or week before, where I talked about how quickly the people organized in New York and overtook the station. That,
Yeah.
they were like, and it's like they all having the same T-shirt. It's like, was this an underground movement going on? Then they blocked down the Brooklyn Bridge, and I'm like, how did they do this, and how did they come up with a few thousand T-shirts that said the exact same thing in minutes? And it's like they had to have been strategizing and organizing for a moment. Jennifer, we wanted to let you know that you can get the Friday rundown. Just go to gaildudley.com and a pop-up would come up. It's free. Just complete it and it comes out on Friday. And there's all kinds of information that is in there. So make sure you check it out. And thanks for asking about that. So I have another question. And we know Isaiah may have to slip out, but I can keep going because I think I know how to work the backboards. We'll see.
You got it. I believe in you.
Latrice also says teach and preach on today. And then Marion said diffusion of responsibility. I know I'm saying those backwards, Isaiah, don't kill me. Anyway, so I have another question. So what strategies or tools do you recommend for individuals to effectively research and gather information about candidates' backgrounds, policies, and track records? Now, I send people a lot to ballotpedia.org. Y'all need to put that in y'all's arsenal. Arson is right there. Ballotpedia.org. Put that somewhere, and I'll put it in the chat too. Or Mary, if you would throw that in the chat for me, ballotpedia.org. That's one. I think people are afraid to read or to see. It's like I tell them all the time, you can see how they voted. And if they voted present or they were absent, that should concern you. So can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah. So listen, what we vote is public information in this country, right? So your favorite rapper might have voted in a way that you don't agree with, right? The pastor that you watch on that network that doesn't really care about you, but just cares about your viewership, they might have voted in a way that doesn't advantage your folk, and you can go look at that, right? I agree with ballotpedia.org. I appreciated what you said earlier about not giving free publicity. I am going to give free publicity for this one. I go to Black America Web a lot. I do. Just to take a look at issues. It tends to be pretty objective as possible. Here in Columbus, Ohio, the League of Women Voters site is the most woke site for information because they don't have a bias either way. And I'm offering that because, to your point, there's an opportunity, no matter what venue or thing you look at, there's an opportunity to make sure that you're validating the source.
Okay.
So
and you said it's Black. I'm sorry, go back for a second. What's
Black
the name
America
of it?
Web.
Black America Web.
Black America Web. But I think even deeper than an outlet is making sure that we're validating the source, because there are people on both ends who will throw things on the internet and then spin it to support their party or their agenda. And there's the opportunity for us to make sure that we're just checking sources to make sure that we're getting objective truth and not someone who's trying to manipulate our sense. Now, be clear. I'm not telling you what side to fall on, but partisan politics has never worked out in the best interest of Black people writ large. So I can identify with a party, but I should always be thinking independent. And if
Yeah.
the right benefits my function and benefits my people, then that's where I'm going. And if the left benefits my function, then that's where I'm going. Look, I can pick a party, right? I can identify with a party, but be clear. The way in which I live every day, the way in which I here be being Baptist, live, move, and have my being, right? I'm an independent. Listen, I'm doing what's in the best interest of my community and my children and myself, right? In that order, by the way. And so I think we should be thinking about that. And so it starts with qualifying the source. Not all skin folk are kinfolk.
Right, right,
So I want
right.
to qualify the source when I'm looking at information.
Right. Now, y'all, I have no idea how that stuff is happening in the background. We're trying to figure out all these new things that's going on here. So I was like, how those
You did it
fireworks
while I
pop
was
up?
talking. It made me feel good. Like, yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? So it's like this new platform that we're on. We're like, what's going on here? So just like we're learning too. As long as nothing crazy comes up, we're
It's all
good.
good.
So okay, I have another question before we go to the inspirational message.
Mhm.
Um, Digital age, online platforms play a significant role in the disseminating of information. And we know we have misinformation and disinformation. We have this whole thing where they want to ban TikTok. Okay. I see you, John Russell. Good morning to you. They were wanting to ban TikTok, but that's because TikTok really got people in the office
Mhm.
in 2020, 2022. So they're trying to ban, which we know why they're trying to ban it too, because of this whole international piece that's going on. So, what online resources or platforms do you suggest? And how do we recognize what is fact and what is this disinformation?
Well, we have to fact check, right? We have
Which
to
means we
fact
got to
check.
do the work, right?
Yeah, we have to do the work behind it. And let me shout out to you. You say this literally all the time, right? That do your homework, do your research, go ahead and read, you take a look, right? So we have to validate it. Just because an outlet may be large. So Wikipedia is huge, but most people don't realize that you can contribute to Wikipedia, right? I could go on Wikipedia right now and I could create a Gail Dudley Wikipedia page and I could put anything on here, right? And it just sits. It just happens that some of the stuff is true. There's a
And that's
lot
why
of it that
colleges
isn't
and
true.
universities says we can't use that for research.
Right, exactly, because they know, right, that a lot of this isn't verifiable, right? A lot of this isn't backed up by something credible. A lot of people use that in order to sway and influence people. So I feel like what we have to be able to do, no matter what it is, and I'll throw my cards on the table. I'm on Twitter. Oh, it's X now, right?
It's X. It's X.
I'm on X now, and I'm on Facebook. It's kind of hard to find me on the internet. That's about as much as I can do. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I don't trust this much access, but right in terms of a platform, what we can do absolutely is just check and reference what it is that we hear. So if someone's listening to you, someone should log off of here and, like you invite them to, go look up what it is that you're saying to see if Gail is talking right. And because
Right.
you keep talking right, that's why we keep logging in. And that's why we keep reading emails. And that's why we're going to like and subscribe. That's why we're going to follow you on the gram. Not just because we like you, right? Or not just because, you have a platform, but because we can take a look at what you're doing and we can verify it so we know that it's true and that it's reliable.
Right. I agree with that. And I think we get so hung up because like right now, like I can't tell you, and I don't even know how they all got on my feed, but it's like, how many prophets do we have today? Like
Mm.
seriously, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting up. Here's a word for you. I didn't ask for it. I got the word this morning on my own. But it's just kind of like crazy. Like
Yeah.
we're just spitting things and people are holding on to these things. And I'm trying to figure out why. But I think it's where people are right now. They're just wanting to grab something that
People need
makes
something
true.
to hold on to.
They
Listen, we
need,
are in a desperate moment, and
yeah,
that's on either end, right? There are poor white folk that are desperate right now. The Republican Party is desperate right now. If you look at the function, there are people on the left who are desperate right now. There are people in our communities that are desperate right now, and people are looking for anything to hold on. And there are people who are profiteering on their poverty, right? Who benefit from their burden in such a
yeah,
way to where they'll manipulate their interest, right? They'll scratch their itchy ear. The Bible
yeah,
readers caught what I did right there, right? they'll scratch their itchy ear in the name of benefiting their own profile. So part of the way that we mitigate against that, the part of the way that we're the counterweight to that, is that we're offering things that are truthful, and that we fact
Right.
check the other stuff so we can call it false. And that's us being prophetic.
Right, right. And I just see Chris joined us as well. So good morning, Chris. You know, and I love that. How do I say this? I love that we're open enough. It says check me. And then here's the
Mhm.
thing. If I go back and see, oh, I might have said that incorrectly, I'll go back and say, hey, on such and such a date, I said this. Looking at it again and doing more research, I want to bring this perspective or this side in as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Being open to do that. Wow, we can keep going and going and going. I see Jennifer says fingers must these do the walking before we engage. I
yeah.
don't know what she's trying to say there, but
It sounds like your fingers must listen before we engage.
okay.
Remember
Okay.
back in the day where our fingers would do the walking, where
Do
we
the
would go
walk.
look
Okay. I'm like
and
going, huh?
research. Look, I'm with that. Yeah.
So I do want you to give us, for those of you just tuning in for the first time with News in Motion, um, we always end with the inspirational message. When we came back in September, I was trying to weave it in, but it just wasn't working for me. So I was like, I got to put this right back at the end where it is. And we do not hide the fact that myself as a host and people we bring in, you see on there it says Reverend Derek Holmes. The inspirational message may come from a direction that you're not familiar with or you don't agree with. It's okay. My suggestion would be stay tuned and grab off what you can just to keep holding on and keep going. So I'm going to turn it over to Derek. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:25 a.m. Eastern time. But take this information, share this again, follow us on our social media. And if you see something, please share it, engage, because we're trying to help this algorithm shift. Again, for all of those businesses that I shouted out earlier today, please check them out. So we have Nabo coming up. We have the two paparazzi consultants I know that are on here, which is Adrian and Latrice. I told you about Nabo, and then we have Tales from the Shaker. Y'all want to go and subscribe to Davia's YouTube, and you'll hear more about that every day this week, leading up to her re-release, her new launch, her season launch this Saturday. So, with that, Derek, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. But I want you to go ahead and lead us into the inspirational message.
Gail, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I really just love being here. Hey, listen, family, we are in a moment coming out of this previous election cycle going into 2024. We are in a moment, like we just said, of desperation, where there are people on either ends of the aisle that are operating in desperation. And by the way, when you're desperate, you tend to do anything, right? You're kind of doing what you can to stay afloat, keep your head above water. We are in a moment where we don't have the luxury, no matter how hard it is, to not be thinking about the upcoming year, not be thinking about what our agenda is, not be thinking about the realities of what our respective communities face. We don't have the time for partisan politic or partisan hackery. We don't have time to play the game that other people benefit from us playing. We have to be thinking actively about what's on our agenda for 2024, especially in a very serious presidential election. There are no unimportant elections in our community. There are no unimportant elections in this republic, and we have to be thinking about that in some very real ways. One of the ways that we think about that is in terms of protecting our leaders. I'm of the mind that there are three things that we should be doing when we think about our leaders. We should be respecting our leaders, which means that we don't have to agree, but we honor the fact that they are our leaders, right? That we correct our leaders, that in love we can address when something is wrong because ultimately we want them to do better, and when they do better, we do better. But we also have to protect our leaders as well. We have to understand that leadership is not a popular enterprise, and just because you're in the front doesn't mean that everyone's happy that you're there. And so we have to make sure that we're protecting our leaders as well. Those are some fundamental things that we should be thinking about going into 2024. But as I'm talking to you, I think that there might be somebody here this morning who may not have made it to Bible study. And if you didn't think I wasn't going to take a moment and give some Bible, then my brother, my sister, my people, you are sorely mistaken. If you happen to find yourself in a good Bible and you open up to the book of Deuteronomy in the first chapter and just read the first 13 verses down, you find something very interesting. Let me give you the background so you can appreciate the breakdown. This is chronicling the movement of Joshua, the new leader of the children of Israel. There was a Moses before there was a Joshua, but it was not in Moses' destiny to make it into the promised land with the children of Israel. And by the time Joshua is leading, he is not only leading the children of Israel, but a new generation of the children of Israel who knew not the Lord, nor the work that God had done for Israel. A whole generation of folk who are going into the promised land. They don't know about the parting of the Red Sea. They don't know about the water that comes from the rock. They don't know about the manna from on high. They don't know about going up on Mount Horeb and coming down with the 10 Commandments, but they are benefiting from the promise that their elders walked in. Don't want you to miss that. Their elders were walking in the promise, and now there are young folk who are now living in the promise, even though they don't know what actually went into them having their promise. And if you get over there to Deuteronomy, you find Joshua in conversation with them. He is telling them how they are to function in ways that please God as they are now becoming a theocracy. And here's what Joshua says to them in the 13th verse. He says, choose some wise, understanding, and respected men from each of your tribes, and I will set them over you. Don't miss it. It's telling them that in order to be something that's in line with God, you have the power to choose who your leader is. If you caught that, you'd have said amen in the thread right there. The Bible says that when it comes to becoming a republic, to becoming a nation that pleases God, choose some wise, understanding, and respected people from your community. And listen, we need to be able, going into 2024, to choose some wise and some understanding and some respected folk to lead over us, so that way God can be pleased and then God can heal this land. Listen, I'm not picking anybody who ain't wise. Listen, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm not picking anybody who doesn't have some understanding what's going on in my community, understanding the realities of mass incarceration, understanding that poverty is an issue in the richest, most powerful nation in the world on paper, understanding that most of those poor people are children. I need someone who's wise, and I need someone who understands. I need someone who understands that if you show up at my church with hot sauce in your bag, I may know the reference, but it's still disrespectful. Listen, and I need someone that's respected. If I don't see you in my community, if I don't see you moving in my community, if you don't have a track record of doing things that are powerful in our community, then the Bible says that I should not choose you to lead us, because God won't be pleased. So, beloved, might we, as the daughters and sons of God, make up in our minds to choose wise and understanding and respected people within our communities to lead us, so that way we can be the best of what the letter says: one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.
Motion.